And welcome to this May 12 Committee of the Whole meeting of the Village of Lake Bluff, Village Board of Trustees. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole.
Here.
Trustee Fisher.
Here.
Trustee Freed.
Here.
Trustee Hatch is absent. Trustee Ryder.
Here.
Thank you. And we have also Trustee Rappin tonight, and Trustee Rappin has submitted a request to participate electronically and qualifies to do so given that he is absent due to work-related matters. If there are no objections, we will count him present tonight and allow him to participate in tonight's discussions. Thank you. No objection?
No.
Thank you. So we will count Steve present tonight fully to participate in these proceedings. Next on our agenda is the non-agenda items and visitors for public comments. The Committee of the Whole allocates 15 minutes during this item for those individuals who would like the opportunity to address the Committee of the Whole on any matter not listed on the agenda. Each person addressing the Committee of the Whole is asked to limit their comments to a maximum of 3 minutes.
And there's no one online.
There's nobody seems to be addressing the board tonight, and nobody's online, so I say we move forward. Item number 4 is first, the Committee of the Whole will entertain requests from anyone present to modify the order of business to be conducted. We don't have too many items tonight. And our first sub-item would be a consideration of the minutes from the April 14, 2025 Committee of the Whole. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any changes to these minutes? I've read them. I did not find anything to change. Thank you, Clerk. Voice vote. It's a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you. Next on our agenda is item 4B, a continued discussion regarding LGBTQ plus pride flag request. Drew?
So in your packet is a memorandum. A little over 2 years ago, the village received a request from a resident, actually a couple of residents, asking the village to display the LGBTQ pride flag in the downtown or a prominent location in the village during Pride Month in recognition of the importance of the LGBTQ community in our village. And there was a conversation by this body over a few months and culminating in a request for more information and further research. And it's been a while, but here we are. And I've gotten more from some of the specific comment we received at that time was interest in what Highland Park was doing in Evanston and Highwood. And I've gotten updates from, interesting enough, Highland Park has actually switched their policy since then, since the original conversation. And I highlight that in my memorandum, but they talk about how they have since actually adopted their own flag policy. And while it does permit for displays of very specific cultural heritages and LGBTQ, they only fly the U.S. flag, the state of Illinois flag, and the flag of Highland Park on their facilities, but they will display the pride flag in the month of June. In fact, they buy little miniature pride flags and place them on their lawn, and I was hoping to get a picture to share with everybody from their communications manager. Did not receive that yet. But they do that, and they encourage residents and visitors of City Hall to take them and take them to their property or display them elsewhere in the community to celebrate Pride Month. They've also, the city of Highland Park actually received a gift of Juneteenth flags. It's 1 year, maybe 2 years ago, and did the same thing. And but they only display things they own, and since that was a gift, they owned it, and that's what they did. But that's the extent of their policy. And I guess related to that, there is an area which I'll call a free speech area in the downtown of Highland Park that they use and offer residents through a, I shouldn't say residents, they offer applicants the chance to display communication, and it doesn't seem to be any limits on that, and it's non-exclusive. And they've used that from time to time, and folks have requested that, and that's another place for free speech that they authorize. Evanston has a very diverse community and celebrates numerous cultural heritages throughout the year, to include,
Right here.
I'm sorry?
Right here.
Yeah, Black History Month, Women's History Month, Asian American History Month, numerous, and LGBTQ Pride Month. But they don't have a specific policy to govern that program. The city manager told me that they're investigating that and looking at that again, but they don't have one currently. And similarly, Highwood, that you will see during June, will have pride flags on every other flagpole in their downtown, but they don't have a policy. They do that through a special events program. A group of non-residents, I was told specifically, comes in and the Public Works Department hangs those banners, and then they take them down for July 1st and put up flags, American flags for the 4th of July celebration. And there's also, that same group does a pub crawl in their downtown in the month of June. And that was really kind of sums up the research, additional research at that time. And if you recall, a couple years back, the board was describing, there was actually a discussion around a draft policy that included many, a laundry list of things that you all could include or not include in the policy. And that's really more or less where it is today. There's that draft policy that still exists. It was re-included in the packet. And I've provided additional information, but I'm happy to answer any other questions that you may have regarding the Highland Park, Evanston, or Highwood, or any other program that we've included in the summary.
Thank you. Also, one thing also, this conversation follows maybe for the last 2 years of a conversation of community health. This follows multiple events in the community where we had to discuss the well-being of the schools, the well-being of the kids being in our community, the well-being of our community, simply enough. And so that conversation has been going on for the past 2 years. And so I think tonight is probably a culmination of, okay, we need to put things together to talk about, okay, what should we do from a community standpoint? What are the messages the villages chooses to literally put on our flagpole? And what is acceptable? And those are going to be on village lands for flags that are owned by the village, okay? And so I think that is important because we have had tri-board meetings where we discussed what is right. What is right for what is the message of support we want for our for kids and adults. What are the things we want to display? And it's very much, I mean, Pride Month is one thing. This is where I would like a message of welcome, of acceptance, of this is all right, and make it a very small deal. And there's also all the other messages we could put together.
Recording in progress.
Sorry.
But that is basically the conversation. Tonight we have, before we get on the conversation at the board level, we have a few people in the room who have expressed an interest to address our board. Would you like to say something? Would you like to address the board?
Hi, Lisa Leale, Superintendent of Lake Bluff District 65. I'm happy to be here tonight. We have had discussions as a tri-board between the Park District and the school district and the village about this issue, and I've just kind of, been supportive of this from the standpoint of we have students in our school district that certainly would feel good about seeing that in the village. We've been pretty clear as a district that our goal is that all of our students achieve and grow in District 65, and part of that foundation building is that all of them feel a great sense of belonging in their community, and that they feel connected with their neighbors and their fellow community members. And obviously, we have a diverse community of learners. Some of our students would connect with this. They have, of course, many things that they would connect with. And so obviously, as a district, our goal is to ensure that all of our kids feel connected and that sense of belonging. So here tonight as a support to the village for continuing to try to make sure that all of our students feel that sense of welcoming and belonging, and we appreciate the efforts.
Thank you. And that might be the point of a message of welcoming and just being unconditional to welcoming for that sense of belonging to the students that are here and choosing to come back or not choosing to come back, simply enough. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Beeler, 322 Malman. I'm here personally. I'm not here on behalf of any agency. I'm here personally because my uncle passed away of AIDS in the 80s. He wasn't just an uncle to me. He was only 12 years older. We lived in a 2-flat in Chicago, so my grandparents and my uncles lived on the first level. My parents and I lived on the second level, and he was more of a brother. He taught me how to read. I had to go sit in the corner of his room while he was doing his homework in high school. He was my confidant during high school and college years, and he passed away from AIDS right after I graduated from college. And you have to think about what was happening in the 80s and the stigma that was attached to that. I had a lot of family members who were working in some way or form for the city of Chicago, and we couldn't honor his death, we couldn't celebrate his death, we couldn't talk about the fact that he died of AIDS. I think about where we were then and how far we've come now, and I don't want to see things regress. I want to see things continue to move forward. So when hearing about this, with being able to have the pride flag in some way displayed here in this village, it really was a feeling of recognizing someone who died kind of in anonymity. When I think about that, it's a symbol. When you look at a breast cancer awareness ribbon, you think about that. You think about who's been affected by that. When you see somebody fly the Cubs W, if you're a Cubs fan, you identify with that. When you think about going by the storefronts in Lake Bluff during homecoming time, and you see the gymnasts, and you see the track, and you see all these kids being represented, you think about there's some identity there, and that's so important. I trust the village trustees to be thoughtful and to follow the correct process as to how this could be implemented in our village. I know you'll be respectful when you do this. We all have people in our lives, whether we know them, we love them, we're identified with them, they're queer, they're trans, they're bi. They could be young kids who are just starting this journey and they don't know where they are yet. So in my personal belief, I think it's very important to be able to display this symbol, so that people can feel that they're seen, and there can be that same feeling of identification and knowing that that support is here in our community. Thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Hi there, Sandy Hart here, both as a resident but also as a member of the Lake County Board. In June of 2020, we passed, we passed a resolution to fly the LGBTQ plus flag after approving a flag policy, I want to say, in May. And we have continued to raise that flag every year since. As I was saying to Peter earlier, it was crickets in terms of anybody having any concerns about that flag. And look, Lake County is a welcoming community. It is a diverse community. Lake Bluff might not feel that diverse today, but more and more people of different backgrounds, different belief systems, and different sexual orientation will be calling Lake Bluff home. And I echo the comments of the two previous speakers about how important it is that Lake Bluff embraces everyone of different backgrounds. And this is just a wonderful opportunity to show who we are, right? We've always said that Lake Bluff is this lovely, welcoming community where everybody can be friendly and get together. And I think showing and raising that flag speaks to that goal of who we want to be, who we are, and speaks to kids right? Hey, we are here for you. It's important for us to show that, right? And I was jotting down about how in school our kids are taught to be upstanders and not bystanders. And I think this is a great chance for us to be upstanders. And I am really grateful that the board is considering this. I did send over our flag policy a few years ago to Drew, so I know you have it. Whether you guys want to use that, great. If that's not a good fit anymore, that's fine with me. But I really welcome the day when that flag goes up. I hope it'll be sooner rather than later. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your comment. And thank you, Jennifer, for your comment. And thank you for Lisa for your comment as well. Anybody else in the room willing to make a comment? Thank you. So, board, what do you think? We have been thinking about that, talking about that for on and off for the last 2-3 years. It's a message that is of, I take it as a message of welcome and acceptance. It's a message to support, to solidify, to support, to support our community. So how do we take this?
Okay, I'll start with my suggestion.
Go ahead.
So when we first started talking about this, while I was on the board, last year or the year before, this has been under discussion for a while. We discussed flag policies, we looked at other flag policies, and at some point, I think, we brought up maybe the concerns that were brought to Highland Park when they changed their flag policies. If you do this, then you have to do it with all these other groups that want to be recognized. But at the end of the day, I think we all agreed that we want to recognize the people in our community who we feel like need to feel welcomed, right? That we want to show love and acceptance for the people in our community, right? That would be represented by the flag. My understanding, based on several conversations that I've had with people on the board and off the board, is whether or not the flag itself gets to the heart of that. And what I mean is, unfortunately, with the world we live in today, flags also have baggage, right? And so maybe I'm thinking more particularly towards the young people in our community. When I think of the welcoming sense that we want to give to show that not only do we accept you, we don't just accept you despite who you love, but because of who you love, right? How do you get to the heart of that message without inviting in the adult world of nonsense, right? Because I think that's what young people are trying to figure out, right? Who do they love? Is it okay to love whoever they love? Things like that. Something pure, not sexual, not political, but something as simple as that. And so I came up with an idea that I don't know if anyone else will agree with it or not. When I first moved to Lake Bluff in 2020, it was during COVID, I had the lovely experience of discovering Lake Bluff during COVID when everything was closed, wandering around and going to the beach. And it was a very fun, exciting moment for me, or time frame. And I remember seeing these really cool dogs that were colorful, commissioned. Dogs are commissioned just for Lake Bluff, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure who did them, but they were beautiful, and they were all different, and they were all over the village, and they were at people's homes. And later on, I found out, wow, Lake Bluff's actual symbol for Lake Bluff is someone running with a dog, right? And then when I thought about it, I'm there might be more dogs in Lake Bluff than there are people. I mean, my dog Billie Jean is one of them. But dogs represent this this unconditional love. So my proposal is that we specific commission several of those dogs, rainbow, like the flag, and put them up, whether it be in the town or down by the beach, or people can buy some and put them on their lawns. I say that because it's really hard to look at a dog and tack on all the nonsense that us adults have created for these kids. And it's also such a personal way of saying that Lake Bluff made these for you. So that's my suggestion. And if you wanted, you could call them pride pups, but yeah. Yeah. So that was my suggestion, not necessarily in place of a flag. I mean, if you guys decide that that's what you want, but I just, in my analysis, thought it really boiled down the essence of what we're trying to bring to the kids in Lake Bluff without tacking on all the loud voices out there that I think diminish it at times. So,
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Thank you. Taryn?
So I think Mary and I have talked about the dogs for whenever she first started the idea. I loved it. I think it's really special. It's very Lake Bluff, and I would welcome it in addition to a flag. I feel like, to me, this is so straightforward. It's a federally acknowledged month of Pride. And at a time, in the past, I feel maybe I didn't feel as much pressure because the energy around Pride was not as concerning. I didn't feel like the acknowledgement of Pride was potentially ever going to be threatened. And I think right now is a time to be brave as a board and also be firm and strong. It is not political, it is not sexual, it is not just kids, it is human beings, and it is a message of standing up against intolerance. I think it's clean and swift. We have a flag. We are entitled to make a decision and a flag policy, and we join in other communities and other counties and cities across the entire country in saying, we support you, we love you, and it's not a big deal. Love who you want, and it's low key, and it just seems like a no-brainer to me. I've said that each time we've talked about it, and I also always reference this, which is if I wanted to avoid controversy and hard decisions, I wouldn't have ran twice for this board. We're here to make some difficult choices. Am I shocked that this, in 2025, whether or not to acknowledge the existence of LGBTQ plus humans as worthy to be alive and out, that is a controversial topic, that breaks my heart. I'd love for that not to be the case, but it is, I guess. And if people want to come into this room and tell me how stupid I am for voting yes, they're welcome to. We can have that discourse. I'm ready for it. And if people from other groups want to ask to fly their flag now, because this policy opens a door like that, then let's have those conversations too. And I'm not afraid to say no or yes. I think it's just time. I don't want to postpone anymore. I don't want to have another set of research and look at data and what other communities are doing. We are a community that has it built into our mission statements and our public policy that we are a welcoming, loving, nurturing community that accepts all people from all walks of life. It's just a flag. Let's do it.
Thank you, Darren.
I agree with Trustee Fisher, and I feel like, again, this is a no-brainer, and I think that it would be very easy to put in place a policy that recognizes any federal, state, or local government recognized holiday, period, whatever it is. And we can afford and purchase as a village a series of flags that recognize some of the big ones that we know we want to honor, but make it available for any of those nationally, state, or local recognized government holidays, and do it. So I agree. I think it's simple. I think we should start drafting it, and we can align on the language and the process.
Thank you. Thank you, Shana. Before moving on to either Steve or Suzanne, I got a text tonight from Kat Hatch stating I support the flag and I can represent that.
That's exactly what it says.
Exactly what it says. So I shouldn't touch my phone because I don't want communication, but I had to show it. Suzanne or Steve, would you like to make a statement?
I'll let Susan go first.
All right, I'm sitting in your spot today, Steve, so. So I appreciate everything that everyone has said. My concern is too narrow a focus. I think that it is absolutely the case that we need to send a welcoming message. I think the demographics of our community on their face don't do that, and that we need to make an effort to include many others. So my proposal would be that we include at least the list of inclusions that Highland Park has in our packet as being treated on equal footing. Black History Month, Women's History Month, Asian American History Month, Jewish American History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month happen to be listed here right alongside LGBTQ community. I don't mean to obfuscate this issue by adding those, but I feel very strongly that the history of the North Shore has been very, very exclusive to many of these folks. I can talk about the African-American boy in my child's class who was ostracized not very many years ago. And so it's, everyone needs to feel as if they belong. And if I thought that this flag was going to solve that problem, boy, I would be the first behind it, but I don't. And therefore, I would propose that we not pass a policy that identifies a single group, because a single group happens to come forward. Perhaps that representative may be the one who came forward. Others may not have thought of it. Perhaps they're too underrepresented to even feel like they have a voice. So although am more than happy to support an inclusive message, my version of the flag policy would include all of these groups that have, over the years, many of them quite recent, been disenfranchised and suffered their own continuing discrimination in housing, in schooling. There's just far more disenfranchised people than this flag will represent. Is it the right place to start? Perhaps. Is it the right place to end? Absolutely not. And if we pat on ourselves on the back because we've addressed this one issue, shame on us, because we haven't sent a message of welcoming. We haven't got affordable housing. We haven't ensured that kids are treated fairly by their teachers, no matter the color of their skin, the police, no matter the color of their skin, or who they celebrate, how they celebrate. So my discomfort with this has been twofold. One, the what ifs, which Taryn addressed and she and I disagree about. But fundamental to that is it just isn't enough. And if I can't do enough, I'd rather leave the status quo. And that's my perspective. Not that the status quo is always right, but the status quo as represented on our flagpoles. I think there are many ways to represent welcoming. I think flags on people's lawns, bravo. That, and flags everywhere, bravo. I think it's too little, and therefore not the right move.
Thank you, Susan. Steve.
Yeah, okay, good. Great to hear everybody's input. I'm not that far from where Susan is. The most important thing for me, whether it's LGBTQ, Black History, Women's, History Month, Jewish American Heritage, Hispanic, all of that, is that everybody knows that Lake Bluff is a welcoming community. Whether you're a child, an adult, a senior, you are welcome in your community, and we care about you, and we want you to know that you are truly valued. So I'm not leading with LGBTQ, I'm leading with all 6 of these. And I think it is imperative on us to recognize these heritage groups in a material way. I just, relative to the flag, I might be able to support, the flag across all of these and have that opportunity. But my sense is it's not the most in keeping with Lake Bluff. And I think there's a more creative, whether it's the Mary method or it's the Susan with the flags or what Highland Park did, that there is a way to materially show that we value everybody that lives in Lake Bluff and outside are welcome to come. But flying a flag over our village hall is so stark, whether it's, supporting any of those 6 groups that I talked about, that I just think there's a more subtle way to do it that still materially shows that we support these communities in our own Lake Bluff way. So I'll stop there.
Thank you, Steve. So, to build consensus from here, I hear that we probably have a majority of people thinking, or actually half of people thinking a flag is the right thing, LGBT. We also have people thinking Black History Month, Women's History Month, and I have it in front of me, Asian American, Pacific Islander Heritage Month, Jewish American Heritage Month, LGBTQ plus Pride Month, Hispanic Heritage Month. Those 7 groups, 7 or 6, is a better way to show, to project acceptance, okay? That's one path of consensus. The second path of consensus is we do not hoist a flag, but we show acceptance in different ways that is potentially the same way than Highland Park, that is a bunch of 2 feet or 1 feet, whatever this is, high flags on the green outside.
Can you give me more information about how that works? They set up a bunch and people are welcome to take them and remove them from the green and put them in their own.
At their home, or put them on their bicycle, or, some other way to display them, put them in flower pots or walk around with it in downtown. But yes, the idea is that the city buys them, knowing that the goal is to celebrate as a community. So that means, and I don't know that if all of them are removed from their location at the city hall, but that they're free to be taken to celebrate, and people do that.
My knee-jerk instinct is A, expensive, B, time-consuming to set them up, C, welcomes all kinds of bad behaviors, destruction of the flags, stealing them and throwing them in a dumpster before anyone can get to them. More of the bad behavior than, can we just raise a flag? And I hear, Susan, you said this last time, I cannot agree more. It is not the end, it is the beginning. But when we have communities who are living in anxiety and fear, they are looking for the neighbors to say, we got your back. I mean, I think raise a flag, one flag up high. I think we also have circled the discussion of, should it be over Village Hall? Can it be on a different flagpole? We can talk about that, but it's like, sometimes the most simple answer is the right one. And to me, let's get a flag up and then keep talking. I also was very supportive of a Juneteenth acknowledgement. Let's do those two.
Juneteenth, oh.
Let's-
One day and 30 days, though?
Well, isn't Black History Month is
Okay.
February? I mean,
Okay, so that would be 1 month and 1 month, okay.
yeah.
Juneteenth being in June.
Whatever we do, it is a start. But by saying we can't, it's not enough, that's, to me, respectfully, it is avoiding the discomfort of the bad actors or the people who might try to say, well, then let's bring in, a swastika or some kind of offensive, just like, whatever we're imagining. Let's not fill in the blanks. Let's deal with those as we come, and let's acknowledge that by doing nothing and by accepting status quo, we continue a message of, it doesn't really touch us, and they should know we love them, and one day we'll come up with a better way of showing that this community is accepting,
Respectfully object to that characterization of what I'm saying.
I'm not saying that's you.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's you.
So that gets us to a different point that is, so fine. So we will, a point of consensus could be we accept those 6 items to be the items we will celebrate.
Well, I don't even know what that means, though. I guess I need more I mean, I'm not objecting to that. I just want to understand, does that mean we are open to members of the community knowing that if they came and asked for some kind of recognition for those?
No. No, the point is we own the flags. We own, this is the voice of the village, from what I understand, Peter. We have, we also have a First Amendment as a
Right.
village entity where we say those are the 6 items in addition to the American flag and maybe the Illinois flag, and but those are the items we choose to fly. And so if somebody comes with a symbol of hatred, we can just say, no, absolutely not. This is not part of what we accept.
Yeah, I think maybe a way I would answer the question, if I understood it, that you could do for talking about these 6 particular ones that are here, practically speaking, I mentioned in my memorandum that there's only one flagpole that can support more than one flag, just
Right.
a practical matter, and that's on the village greens, not even the one by the village hall.
Yes.
And so unless the village wanted to find it, explore building a bigger flagpole or, that, which is something you could do, I think practically with a sense of, I guess, immediacy, you could do, for each of these, I'm certain you can do the village has been doing a proclamation for Pride Month already. You can do a proclamation for all of these. That's one thing you can do. You could do flags for at least, probably one of the 6 that I'm most familiar with. Maybe there are flags. I'm not familiar with the flag for Black History Month, but
The Pan-African flag
Yeah.
is sometimes represented as the
so
flag.
I can go back and find out what that would look like, and then other celebrations, different ways to do it. And
Right.
I think
I don't know what the Women's History Month
I don't
flag
either.
is. I'm not sure there is one, but
But, yeah, to the practice, I don't know either, but at least that would be, if you could decide how you wanted to specifically, what does that celebration look like? Well, this is how we could practically do it with the resources that are available.
So that being that we're expanding an acknowledgement while also creating some clean railing, bumper rails for how to answer what we can and cannot acknowledge, or will not acknowledge. Yes.
And like with Highland Park specifically, they, in their policy, identified that they would, recognize for a period of not to exceed 30 days displays for certain cultural heritages, but they didn't necessarily say we're going to do anything themselves, right?
Yes,
And so
that's right, okay.
so that's another,
I like
opening the
that
door,
too.
saying that, hey, if the women's club of Lake Bluff came forward and Women's History Month, we'd like to host a community-wide activity or something that say, okay, the village could be part of that because it's already part of your policy.
those can be on, the way I'm reading Highland Park's 2024 policy statement is, those can be, they're acknowledging that these 6 categories can be, can be reflected on the public display. They're not saying, and therefore we will go and provide the,
No, they're providing those.
They are
say
providing-
They say the
Yes.
displays are owned by the city.
Correct.
But in that case, like the example for the Black History Month, or no, I'm sorry, for the, I think it was Black History Month, that somebody donated flags for
Which is
it.
fine. Somebody donates it, it now
Becomes
belongs to
to
the
the city.
village
I
of the
see.
city, and so it's the city's property still doing.
Satisfy the
And if
policy.
we don't want to accept a donation, we don't have to accept a donation. The goal of all these policies is that it be the government's speech, not private speech. That's the common denominator.
Right.
that makes sense to me.
Right.
And if the government chooses to speak on something and not another, that sends a message, and it's a message that I would prefer to have broader than narrower.
So are we saying we are going toward a policy that would be these 6 items as part of our flag policy?
Which I suppose if somebody came to us and said, and therefore I want Ukrainian, I'm coming up with another, we would then consider it. Is that right? I don't, I think passing a policy that includes these 6 is necessary for me to support it. Thereafter, I wouldn't, I don't know, whatever other, if government speech was someone else asked us to speak on behalf of their concern, we could then therefore decide to do so. Peter, is that?
Correct. Or not to do so.
So I'm sorry, Peter, at the point that somebody said, hey, can we honor this different heritage group, that would require the village board to amend their flag policy?
Correct. Correct. And that is at the village board's discretion, not subject to First Amendment.
Okay. Okay.
So where we are right now is, Susan, I understand that you would be amenable to those 6 items as a flag policy.
Yes, another of the cities had 2 others that we haven't mentioned, but those 6 were important to me. Another was Disability Employment Awareness Month, if I recall, and then there was a 7th one, or an 8th one. I'm not finding it right now, but a list of disadvantaged groups that are under attack, kind of always, I guess, is what I'm after.
Well, let's
Not the
focus.
one that we're focused on today, but the one that,
Let's
all of
focus on what is in front of us.
Regis, I'll tell you that I also could support that with that broader group, similar to Highland Park. I would at some point like to have the discussion of where. To me, it would be much more intuitive to have on the village green as part of a 2 flagpole with the American flag or the village flag flying side by side. But that's a discussion for whenever people want to talk about it.
Thank you. So you would
Native
be,
American Heritage was the other one.
That's a good one.
which one?
Native American Heritage, National Disability Employment Awareness Month and Native American Heritage Month were the others that were not included in the
So that would be item number 7,
And 8.
7 and 8.
8. I'm sorry, and 8. So we are talking about these 8 items that might or might not have a flag and that might merit a proclamation. This is what we're saying. So, so those 8 items, Shayna, Mary, and Taryn, are you open to considering that?
Yes.
Yes. Although I'd still prefer my pups, yes.
Doesn't prevent us
As
from
would
having
I.
I'd
pubs.
still be doing your,
I was gonna
I'm like,
say.
let's do these pops,
Want to
but
see them?
yeah.
So from a consensus standpoint, so we're basically getting to the idea that we have 8 items that are or are not flags that will prompt proclamations, that will prompt basically a welcoming message in our community. Is that a consensus?
Yeah, I'm sorry, just to clarify, that you're talking about a flag policy with those 8 heritages spelled out.
Correct.
I think it's more of the headline, just to, if you can tell me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
it would be very similar to the Highland Park, just displays on city-owned property policy, which
Okay,
includes.
it's not a flag policy.
It
it's a-
includes flags, but other speech may take the shape of something else.
For the simplest reason that some of these items might not have a flag, but are very much granting a proclamation.
And there would be an application process, and the applicant would provide, or I'm sorry if you said this before, the city would provide.
And the city would own the flags, and it would be a city property on village property, basically. Is that a consensus? Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
it is a consensus.
It is.
All right,
So I think that's enough direction for Peter and I to bring something to the next meeting.
all right. Thank you. And that should conclude that discussion. And our next item is an adjournment. I would welcome a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
One opposed? Thank you. We're adjourned.
Okay, I'm going to sign off. Mary, good luck with everything.
Thank
Rob,
you.
good